Good morning. It's a beautiful Idaho morning. See you out there. And today I'm going to show you the wiring on my Nomadic Innovations S1 mini split. We talked on our previous video. I did the install on it and how they'd wired it to the truck. And I mentioned that I wasn't a big fan of that because I just don't want to kill my truck battery, especially if the dogs are in here for a long period of time. I'd rather kill an auxiliary battery and still be able to drive somewhere. So I rebuilt this box and drawers that I'm sitting on specifically for buying a whole battery management and power management system. So today I'm going to show you how that all works. So I showed you last time in the video, these wires coming off of here went down along the edge of the box and all the way down to the front of the truck into the battery. So what I did was I took from the battery and I split the wires and I put some Anderson clips, which I'll show you here in a minute, and I put them on each end of the wire, and I hooked those into my battery management system and then this end into the other side of the battery management system. So I got to keep the wiring that was already done essentially and not have to run as much wire, which was great. So I'm going to show you how we did that. All right, so here we go. You can see we get a lot of dog hair. Here's the lid. Here's our energy. This is a 400 amp hour battery. I think I've mentioned before, it's like 120 pounds. It is not light. So in here I've got, oh, it's heavy. I still have a little bit of work to do. Need to get some sort of mount to hold it in place. It doesn't move very much because it's got some rubber feet on the bottom, but it still moves around a little bit. I've got two, these are auto and marine bus bars. They're heavy duty bus bars. I got a negative bus bar here, positive bus bar here, and everything runs in through those bus bars, those two, because those are the main ones off the battery. The battery had this gigantic, I'm telling you, it's huge. It's the size of my hand, Anderson clip. I had to special order the cords coming off of it with the other Anderson clip because it didn't come with that. It just comes with that end. I had to order that end separately, and it was additional like 150 bucks. Not super thrilled, but it made everything work, so I'm not gonna complain too loudly. So we've got our negative bus bar there. It runs into my Renogy battery monitor. All negative has to run through that battery monitor, otherwise it doesn't monitor correctly. So from there, it runs off of that monitor, through that monitor shunt, into this combiner box. Now, I looked at Renogy's website a lot. I looked at their manuals. I looked at YouTube videos. These combiner boxes, almost all of them are like, oh, it's for a solar power system, but essentially it's just a bus bar. They're metal bars in here, just like this. It's just a fancier version. It's got more ports. It's got a nice big common ground. So I used it for this system. It's hard to find any additional instructions on how to use it for this setup, but with some help from my dad and another friend, we got it figured out. On that note, shout out to Valley Auto in McCall, Idaho. Their owner, he stopped and took a look at my setup and helped me figure out one or two little wire setups. And you know, he looked over everything, said everything looked good. So I really appreciate him for doing that and helping me out. It saved me a lot of trouble. So I'm not going to pop the cover off here. Like I said, it's basically two bars. There's a positive bar here and a negative bar here, and these two are so that way you can put multiple combiner boxes together. You take these little covers off and they've got a hole there, and they can go in through this end. There's a rubber piece right here, so you can hook like 2 or 3 combiner boxes together. But yeah, I've got all my negatives hooked into this negative bus bar on the bottom, and then all my positives hooked in here. And then in the center here, there's a common ground. That ground runs down, and it runs all the way up to, in these newer GMCs, there's a specific negative post on the truck. That's for making it easier to jump. Now that was a really nice grounding point, so I ran that wire all the way up from the front. It was pretty easy for me to just follow the wires that were already there and hook into that nice negative instead of like drilling a hole in my frame and making sure it was clean. That's what I chose to do, and it made it really easy hooking it into that bar. So as you can see when I made these, there's netting here, and it's on both sides, and that's to let it breathe, but also try and keep out all this dog hair. So that was the choice I made. I got a hole there, everything's drilled. Now I bought an additional fuse. I have one up in the engine bay to protect everything. I bought that one just in case. I chose not to use it because I just didn't feel the need with the shunt there protecting everything, and then I've got this DC to DC charger, which I'll talk about here in a minute, and then the fuse up front. I just felt like it was a little redundant. I left it there mounted, it's ready to be hooked in, and I have all the tools to hook it in at any given point. I just chose not to do that at the moment. So but next is my DC to DC charger. So this is hooked into my truck's alternator, and this is a smart DC to DC charger. It also acts as an isolator, so it keeps my keeps the truck from draining this battery and this battery from ultimately draining the truck, because I've got a set up to my truck's ignition. It will only pull from the alternator when the truck is on. So but it also is smart sensing. It senses that I've got a lithium battery. It can work on AGM and another battery. It's a really cool thing. It's also from Energy. I kind of stuck everything from Energy just to make it easier on myself. So yeah, I've got my positive power flowing into the DC-DC charger. Then I've got coming in the bus bar, heavy duty bus bar into the big combiner box. Then my AC comes in, and you can kind of see through the netting. There's that Anderson clip I was talking about, and there's that clip. Yeah, so those are the clips I chose to use there, and that's coming from the combiner box coming from the truck to the combiner box. And then you can see this wire over here goes down to that Anderson clip, which goes to the AC. Eventually I would like to mount that up on the bottom side of this shelf here. I haven't yet. It hasn't been a problem so far, but we'll get to that eventually. So there's two holes in the bottom of the truck. I did put rubber grommets, and I sprayed some rubberized bed coating when I drilled those, just to keep everything nice and pretty and safe and from rusting. But yeah, I got a couple holes there. The other thing is that shunt that I mentioned earlier. That is a battery monitor, which I'll show you here momentarily. You can see this says it's currently full, which is great. We've been driving this truck, and it charges it up real nicely. Right now, that is the only charging system, is the alternator. Eventually, this setup has a solar panel on top. It's currently set up to charge this battery, which is running everything. I think I mentioned that in an earlier video. What I would love to do is eventually get this out of here and run like these lights, this fan, and everything off of that battery, and have the solar charge that battery, which the DC to DC charger I showed you in there is set up to charge off that solar. That's essentially what it's designed for. It can do all sorts of things, but that's one of the main reasons it was built. So that would be ideal. I just haven't taken that dive into the wiring setup of this 4-wheel camper and the solar setup to get it where it needs to go. Plus, like I said, I still need to get that mounted more solidly so it can't bounce around too much when we're going on gravel roads. So you see this battery monitor on here. This has been really slick. I have loved every second of having this. It's nice to have it know what, you know, for pulling power or gaining power, what the percentage is, all the stats. I love those. I'm going to get some more of those when I hook it over to that system and mount those somewhere. So when I bought this system, I bought another one because it's also Renogy. And there we go. You can see we got 400 amp hours. We're at 100% currently, and we're just chilling. I know it currently says it's the little up arrows say it's like charging, or at least that's my understanding, but it's not pulling off the truck batteries. I've let this truck sit here for a week without it doing anything, and that battery will not kill it. That's part of that, the DC charger not letting it pull from there. Some people, when I've talked to them about it, have been concerned. They're like, oh, you know, with that DC to DC charger being, you know, powered And this sitting on, don't you worry about it like killing your battery just on a little, you know, parasitic type draw. No, this thing pulls almost no power to light up those LEDs and tell me, hey, we have power. And this is its own power source. So what do I need to worry about? I leave it on because that button is the on off switch, and I don't want to have to pop this lid, pull those dog crates out and pop this lid every time I need to go for a trip. So I just leave it on. It hasn't been a problem. I don't foresee it being a problem if we go for a really long period without, you know, going, you know, using this thing. Like, so when winter comes here, I'll probably climb in here and turn it off just because it doesn't need to be on. Although I do need to check. This is a self-heating battery. It's got a smart little sensor in it. It tells it when it needs to kick on a heater to keep it from being damaged from the cold. I need to read into it and see if it needs to be on for that. If it does, I'll leave it on. I'm not worried about it. If it doesn't, I'll turn it off. It'll do its self-heating thing and not a problem. On that note, I also forgot to mention there is a, where did it go? Where did it go? Where did it go? There's a, oh, it's been kind of, there we go. So this is a temperature sensor. It's not currently, but I have some thermal tape. I'm gonna tape this onto the side of the battery. That's so this DC to DC charger can monitor the temperature of the battery, and if it gets too hot or too cold, the charger itself will, you know, stop pushing or pulling power, whatever it needs to do. It's gonna protect this battery. So that's another reason I went with this system, just because it's really gonna protect this battery and keep everything nice and running for a long time, I certainly hope. So that is my battery setup, and my lid just kind of slides right on over there. Here, I'm gonna, if I can. There we go. And that cover just slides right on over there. There's a slight gap, but the crates sit on top of it, so I'm not too worried about everything getting in there. Got some bowing, but again, the crates are self-supporting, so not worried about it too much. And the wires are all protected down there. Nothing over here but that vent to let power get in and out. Oh, and our snowshoes, I suppose. And you can see this will monitor our temp, but it'll just turn right on, right off that battery. I mean, I can turn it on and show you. Got 14 volts. Truck's obviously not on. And it'll just blow hot air, but I'm not going to leave it on because the truck's just hanging out for today, so I don't need it on. Well, anyways, thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.